Speaking of Saturday, there's also another game that is of note for different reasons. And I mean, Coach K, a lot of people might have a bunch of different feelings about Coach K. I mean, the Victory Tour, cool. What's it called? Is Victory Tour, is that the right? I'm thinking of what Draymond was yelling at Paul Pierce. Remember that clip that went viral? And he's like, they don't love you like that.
You're not Kobe.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to disrespect. Well, I can't say I'm not trying to disrespect Coach K because that's blatantly disrespecting Coach K, me dissing his Victory Tour. But the point is, last game coming up, I hear the tickets are going crazy at Cameron Indoor for this game. But from a betting standpoint, is there anything that we can like gain a little bit of an advantage here?
Should we spend the $3,000 to get in the building and just go and yell "You ain't Kobe" to Coach K the entire time and see what happens? Everybody just look at us like, what are you talking about? Do we have to like spell out the reference? It's like, guys, it's a Paul Pierce Draymond reference from like 10 years ago. Like, figure it out.
I will say though, I find it interesting that Roy Williams is just like, okay, I'm out. And then Coach K's like, nope, we're doing a tour. And I get Coach K is better than Roy Williams. I know that. I get that. I'm just saying I find it funny just how the two of them decided to go about this.
And two drastically different situations, I think, from a talent
recruitment
standpoint, right? Because if you're Coach K, and listen, I don't know the timing of all of this, right? But like the Blue Devils, you know, a friend of mine texted me the other day. He's like, "Is it just me or the Blue Devils like kind of likable?" And it's like, yeah, because they've picked all these guys up from other teams that were sort of like likable on their teams, and just because they put the Duke jersey on. And I made the joke that like once Alex O'Connell gets out on the court, you go, okay, this is back to an annoying Duke team. But like a lot of these guys, you're like, man, I don't hate Trevor Keels, right? Even Paolo Banchero, like I like him a lot more than I liked like an RJ Barrett, and the pieces fit, and they're a really good.
You say that about RJ?
Listen,
dare you besmirch RJ?
Yeah, I know it's a national catastrophe if anybody says anything bad about a Canadian NBA basketball player
or a curler.
Listen, we're defending our honor when it comes to curling. So as far as this team is concerned, like it is a hard team to dislike, and he saw that he was getting all of these different pieces and was like, okay, I'm not going out like I went out last year, right? Where Roy probably didn't want to go out like they went out. Like you'll recall, like neither of these teams, if I'm not mistaken, like I don't think either of them made the tournament last year. Last year's tournament was such kind of a mess that I sort of blacked it out, as much as I was glad that we at least had it. And so if you look at Carolina, right, and Carolina as obviously the team on the other side here, we're talking about a Carolina Duke game that already has a lineup. By the way, like there's already a line of 12.5 available on sportsbooks. This is college basketball, man. Like we don't get lines on Wednesday night, 4 games on Saturday until we get to the tournament, right? So I was like, oh my God, like there's actually a sportsbook published a line for this. My expectation would be 12 points for this game, and my number itself would be closer to 10.5. So you're getting a bit of a Coach K, like situation here. What I think is going to be interesting at the end of this game is, think about it, right? If they're up 10, if they're up 12, if they're up 15, what is the end game going to look like? Right? It's like, it's senior day. There's not a ton of seniors on this team, but it's like, this isn't like Steve Wojciechowski, like he's put in 4 years of, sweat equity here. This is Theo John, who like the Cramming Crazies, like just learned his name like a couple of weeks ago, right? Like these are those guys that have transferred in. So are they going to do the thing where it's take the time out and the slow roll of like guys coming, the parade of guys coming out to roar his cheers? Because it's more about Coach K. Like you're not going to take a timeout so Coach K can check in the game. That would be outstanding if he did. He whips the suit off and all of a sudden he's got shorts and a jersey on. He goes and he plays for the last minute. How outstanding would that be? If that's the case, I'm going to want North Carolina plus the points, because I think North Carolina is going to get some buckets against Coach K. Or whether it's just guys off the bench, right? If the last minute of this game turns into this sort of ceremonial element, well, Duke's not going to be super locked in, and you might have a greater chance for a backdoor cover with North Carolina, especially if we're already getting a couple extra points. And by the way, this line of 12.5, which, like I said, is a half point higher than expectation and almost 2 points higher of where I would sort of make it in a fair universe. It also might go up, right? Because we get into narrative street of people going like, well, they're not going to lose their last game, and they turn in to the Indianapolis Colts, right? Like, there's no way they can lose. It's like, no one's asking them to lose. No one's even, no one's asking them to win. We're asking them to win by 13 points in a game that, if they are up by around 13 points, the spotlight is going to shift from the game to Coach K. So I think the strategy here is to take a wait and see approach. Obviously, not every sportsbook has this game up, right? This is, again, much more of an early, wade yourself in with this opener that a couple of sportsbooks have up. I just think, okay, we know that 12.5, they're already lining it high. The line movement in this game is going to be interesting because we'll see whether or not, like the San Diego State Fresno game, whether the people who are paying attention are going to come in and hit this and knock this down to 12, to 11.5, to 11, where it probably should and could be. Because, again, you'll have to recall, what was it, a month ago, 3 weeks ago, Duke at North Carolina. Yeah, it was a blowout by Duke, but Duke was a 3-point favorite. So if you're going to make that, let's do our exercise, right? If you're going to take a 3-point favorite and move it to 12.5, that's 9.5 point swing, which suggests 4.5 to 5 points of home court advantage for both sides. So even if you think that Duke should get 5 points of home court advantage, I'm not here to tell you North Carolina should get 4.5 points of home court advantage credit, right? And so I can see this number going down. If it does, that will certainly be an indication of that sharp movement. If it goes up, that's just people kind of piling in here on Duke and this idea that this game is going to be a blowout, because obviously that game back in Durham was a blowout as well. So yeah, Roy Williams bailed because he saw the writing was on the wall that his team was going to be a team that has one quad one win all season long and is going to be a hot button topic for the tournament. You and I have had the same conversation last year with some of these teams. They were so bad, they played themselves out of even the play-in game, but the Tar Heels in a play-in game on Tuesday or Wednesday night. Again, if you have any opportunity to put the Tar Heels into this tournament, even in the play-in game, and remember that Michigan State UCLA play-in game had all the attention last year because we had big brands. And of course, that also helps North Carolina's case too, because UCLA wasn't necessarily a team that everybody had to have in the tournament. They make it in barely, they go to the Final Four. Obviously, from a branding standpoint, that's going to help North Carolina's case, or at least within the committee. They're like, UCLA did it last year, we got to put North Carolina in. I expect them to be in that first four, regardless of whether they get blown out in this game or what happens in the ACC tournament. Obviously, at least one win for North Carolina in the ACC tournament would help a great deal.